when you can do the hard things, you can do anything.
Levels to the game, levels to the grind.
There are definitely levels.
Yeah.
There are definitely levels. Some people just don't believe they can. That's part of it, your belief system. Limited beliefs. They have that limited belief that they just can't do it, or they just don't want to do it.
All right, welcome back to the podcast. You ready for this one, Dad?
Always ready. Always ready.
Okay. Well, we're going to dive in, and we're going to start talking about the grind and the grind that it takes to win in business, to have a seven-figure business. And we've had our seven-figure business now for about 13 years. It's been running at seven figures. And
Right.
There's been a lot of grinding in that. And I know you've done a lot of grinding in your life too. How important do you feel our success is, or to put it another way, how important do you feel that being willing to grind and put in the hard work is necessary in order to hit seven figures in a business? And then we could just talk about a couple of things around that.
Well, it's not in this business. It's in life. You got to be willing to do the stuff that other people don't want to do. One of my philosophies that I have is that I'll never be without a job. If our school closed tomorrow for some crazy thing, I would always have a job because I'm willing to do the stuff that other people aren't willing to do, because I've had to do that moving up in my life. And when you can do the hard things, you can do anything.
Yeah.
So the grind is just part of that philosophy. And it's not for the faint of heart, because there are people who want things. They see other people who have things and they want them, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, wanting things, having a desire to improve yourself. But when it starts to get hard, and when they have to start learning things they did not know, this is the key thing. When they have to start learning things they did not know how to do, then they have that mindset, that fixed mindset that I can't do this. I'm not smart enough to do this. I'm not savvy enough to do this. It's not cut out for me. But it's not true. And you may not be able to do it any better than, you may not be able to do it better than people who love doing that aspect, the hard stuff, but you can learn it. You can improve on it. You can get better at it. And so when you think about the grind, you think about things like that. And you just got to buckle up your shoes, so to speak, and you just got to tread through the mud until you get to the other side.
Yeah. Well, I didn't really feel, I definitely now, at 36, because it's been 18 years since I first hit the grind, I guess, hard, right? So at 18, trying to build the school, I felt like you were really grinding, like you were working super hard because
Right.
You were outside in the elements doing construction and building fences and all of that. And, I knew how hard that was from working in the summer with you
Yeah.
outside. But, I remember it feeling really hard. But at the same time, maybe it was because I didn't know any better. I don't know. Or maybe that I just had passion to go do it because I just woke up and I just did it. Whereas I see other people, people that we coach, that we work with, that we consult with. And currently I would say the ones that do more that I've seen just explode their schools.
Right.
Like we have Alex who's in the UK, and he's a young guy.
Yeah.
And he's got lots of energy, lots of just drive, and has just exploded his locations that he's working on over there with his martial arts schools. But I see a difference in mentality that seems to change as people get older, right? Like maybe in the beginning they're willing to do that grind, but as they get older, they stop being as willing. Is that, you're obviously older than I am, so is that something you have to change as you get older to be able to keep that level of wanting to grind?
It's going to be different from everybody. For me, it's just another day. It's just another way to get something done. I would imagine if you get comfortable, and we all get comfortable in what we're doing, we want to be comfortable. We want to have a better house. We want to have better cars. We want to live in comfort. We don't want to be out in the blizzards and the snow trying to make a living. But at the same time, you have to realize that even as you get older, if you're if you're not challenging yourself on a daily basis to learn new things, you're stuck in that fixed mindset. I can't do anymore. I'm done. I'm getting older. I'm getting into my retirement years where I can just kind of hang it up and just have fun and do what I want to do. I mean, I'll never retire personally because I love what I do. And some of the things I've learned have been hard and very difficult for me. But I've done them to the best that I can, and I'll continue to learn new things. I mean, we're sitting here on a podcast. This is very difficult for me because I can't sit still, and I'm sitting here holding myself still.
You're doing good. You're doing good. Yeah.
But yeah, some people just don't believe they can. That's part of it, your belief system. Limited beliefs. They have that limited belief that they just can't do it, or they just don't want to do it.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is when we have people that we're working with in our coaching program in Seven Figure Dojo, most people when they come in, and I'd be curious to see how you retrospectively looking at this felt in the beginning, but when they came in, they really, a lot of them don't think that their mindset is what determines their success. They think that it's their lack of ability to do marketing, and maybe that's where we're going to help them, or there's some, secret that's missing from their sales process. And those are true. We are helping them with marketing, we're helping them with sales, and there are things and procedures that will expedite that process much faster. But it sounds like, and I know this to be true, that how you approach things, your mindset in approaching things impacts everything. For you, was that a big shift when we started just really grinding and going after, making this a big business?
Yeah, I believe it was because, for my whole life, like I said, I've always done the hard things. So I had a mindset, but I didn't even know what a mindset was, and like I do now. And it was just that if you don't do it, you're not getting paid, and if you do it and you get better at it, you're gonna get more money, you're gonna earn more, and plus, you're going to be able to build up character that will push you into the future when things get hard again, because it is a roller coaster. Sometimes things are going great, sometimes things aren't going great.
Yeah.
And when they're not going great, you have to be great. You have to push yourself through that, and you got to go, well, just like when the world shut down. We had to pivot. We had to just go there and go, we don't want to do this. But guess what? We're going to do it the best we can. And we're going to learn whatever technology we have to learn to do all the Zoom classes and have all this other stuff that we had going on. So, yeah, you have to make that happen. Me, when I started studying more about the different mindsets and leadership and things of that nature, it helped me a whole lot because it helped me identify things that I thought I was in a different area, so to speak. That if you ever had something, you talk to somebody and you go, well, I thought about that, but now that you mentioned it and you brought it up, it becomes clearer to me.
Yeah.
Right? So that was kind of the shift I had. And now where we are, just continuing to learn myself more about the mindset aspect and leadership and things of that nature, it just helps me realize that we can do a whole lot more than we're doing now even. So, yeah.
Yeah. And the thing that I've also noticed just about myself is that because from an early age, being a martial artist, you teaching me, earning my black belt, my junior black belt when I was like 8 or 9 years old, I think it was 8.5, and then continuing the martial arts and just all the physical training, the competition training, all of those things. I think that there's a huge merit into pushing your body physically in order to achieve business success, because it seems, at least from our perspective, we were in a situation where we were watching other people that, maybe they just didn't have as much grind and just gave up. Like they were right on the instance of getting to that profitable six figures, and then almost a 7, and then it's, there's been a lot of people that we knew when we first started really just going for this climb that their businesses don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
What do you think as far as that goes when it comes to physically preparing yourself for business? I mean, you don't really because there might be people that are watching this that maybe they don't have a martial arts business, they just want to have a 7-figure business, right?
Yeah,
so
sure.
How important do you see it from your perspective of being physically prepared to have business success? Like, do you think there's something to that?
Yeah, there's a lot to it. And if you study some of the people who are the multimillionaires and billionaires now, one of the things they're all going to tell you is that physical fitness is very important. Very important. Because if you're physically fit, you feel more like doing more. If you're out and if you're eating a bunch of junk and just, gaining tons of weight and just feel bad all the time, how are you going to function? How are you going to be able to make real good decisions because your head is in the fog all the time? If you're having to take a bunch of medication, and I know some people can't get off of it and stuff like that, it's not as good as if you were more healthy. Maybe it would help you more. I'm not saying it would, but there's a whole lot of merit to being in better shape. And I'm not talking about going out and running 10 miles a day and going out to the gym every day and lifting weights and stuff like that. I'm talking about simple stuff like just getting out in the outdoors, enjoying nature, taking walks. I mean, we live on a farm. I mean, just getting out on the farm and working. Back in the day, they used to say that work and exercise were not the same thing. I beg to differ. I can tell you that hard work is just as hard as exercise. You may not do the reps and the sets all at once, but when you work real hard all day doing very manual labor, it is not fun at all. But it does keep your body in shape. And of course it keeps you mentally sharp too. So it's all in the way you look at it, I believe.
Yeah. Well, right now, of course, Tony Ferguson, I was just telling you about this off camera earlier.
Yeah.
Tony Ferguson has David Goggins training him.
David Goggins is a beast.
Yes. And so there's people on the internet that are just roasting Tony Ferguson. And
what's new?
Well, I think it's because they're saying, he keeps losing these fights repetitively.
Right.
He should hang it up. He should retire. And Tony's thing is he keeps saying, I'm not mentally ready to retire. My body still has more. My mind is still sharp. I want to do this. I want to keep competing. So I don't know if he's past 40 or he's around 40.
I don't know how old he is. But, and I've seen some of the fights that you're talking about, and most people are saying, "Man, he needs to hang it up." I mean, he's taking a lot of punishment, and I think that's why. So I don't know, but you know what? There's levels to everything. We're at a certain level right now, and we want to get to the next level.
Yeah.
And we're busting our hiney to get to the next level, and I think that's what he's doing too. So when you want to get to the next level, you have to find somebody's there. And if you want to put your body through some physical stuff, David Goggins can do it.
Yeah.
Because he don't quit doing nothing. I mean, that guy is amazing, totally amazing, his accomplishments. So the mindset that he has is what puts him where he is. And I think that if you listen to anything about him or read anything about him, you'll understand that he does things that when his body is telling him to stop, he don't stop. He just keeps going. It's amazing. I just,
Andrew Huberman actually did like a whole entire lab experiment on David Goggins just to
really?
study. Yeah, just to study like how he was able to endure certain stress environments. Because David Goggins is really afraid of sharks. He's a Navy SEAL, but extremely afraid of sharks.
Me too.
So they have a VR shark simulator, and they, it's only going to stress you out to a certain point because it's not real.
Right.
But it feels real because you're in the water.
Yeah.
You have the VR goggles on. It feels like sharks are coming around you, and you've got all of that.
I'm already scared.
And so they were testing him, and they were testing his ability to get stressed and recover from stress, and how he was able to control his breathing, how he was able to control his body, but most importantly, his ability to not stop. Like everybody else, all the researchers were ready to go home, and he's like, "Come on, let's go. Let's do another one. Let's do another one." And they just were trying to test overall. And there was a lot of different tests. I can't remember them all, but just his ability just to keep going. And so, I mean, do you think that with Tony getting this type of mentorship, I think it would be more like mentorship. I know it's training, but it seems to me like it's more mentorship from David Goggins. I mean, David Goggins isn't going to teach him how to do, a takedown or practice kicking with him.
No.
So I would say it's more mentorship and strength and conditioning more than anything else. But do you think that potentially would give Tony a better edge in the fights?
2 parts to that. He's going to have a better mental capacity to fight. There's no doubt about it. Because David Goggins is going to either work with him through some of those things, which is probably what he will do. He will be yelling at him,
"Hey, hurry up, let's go."
Because he's not going to stop. And whether it makes him a better fighter or not, I don't know. But and that's the second part. But I guarantee you he's going to have a totally different perspective. Just putting yourself through that and coming through that is going to be life changing. Or it's at least he's going to level up to the next level. And I mean, looking at him, watching him fight, I can't imagine him at another level because he don't stop. I mean, whether he's winning or whether he's losing, he's still out there. He's going for it.
Yeah.
But I think maybe with this conditioning or whatever Goggins is doing with him, that you want to see a different Tony Ferguson when he fights again. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. And I do think that when you've gone through any type of grind where you keep pushing yourself, when you get to the next obstacle, even in business, when you push through that level, you just refuse to quit, you refuse to give up, and you push through and you get to the next level. It's hard going through it, like it's hard doing the doing. But when you're past that, it's not as hard on the next obstacle or on an obstacle that's similar maybe.
True.
But for somebody who's going through something hard right now, what would be your best overall advice if they're going through, because there's a recession, there's economic shrinkage, if you want to call it that right now. So there's business owners that aren't doing as well as they were in 2021 when there was cash everywhere and all of that. Now we're dealing with inflation. Now we're dealing with potentially World War III and uncertainty. And anytime there's uncertainty, the economy tends to pull back. So people are not as ready to throw money out there. So for somebody who's uncertain or they're struggling right now, what do you think you would tell them to do with the grind that they see in front of them?
Well, sometimes you have to switch things around. John Maxwell, in his book 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, talks about the law of trade-offs. And anytime you make a decision, and you've done this in your life, everybody's done this in their lives, they traded one thing for another. And maybe both of those things were good. Maybe, okay, I really need to change my location because I'm in a bad location for either my business or for my personal, where we live. And you don't want to do it, but you know that you're going to have to work twice as hard to even make that happen. But when you're there, you've made that trade-off and you've sacrificed something to get there. Maybe you had to work 2 jobs. Maybe you had to work 3 jobs to save up the money to get that trade-off. And sometimes you will take, let's say, for instance, personally, myself, I had to take a cut in pay because I got laid off from a job after I had surgery on my knee. They didn't want me to come back because they were worried about the liability aspect. So I had to take a $4 an hour pay cut with another job until I could find another job. So I started the other job, worked on it, tried to find another job that would pay me more for what I knew, and was still teaching martial arts, which wasn't paying me anything at the time. So it's a law of trade-offs, and it's the same thing when you think about that.
So just keep going through it and just trade off.
Yeah, you gotta keep going through it. If you're running that grind and you're trying to get somewhere else, you can't. You got to push yourself through it, and especially what you're talking about. What was the question again?
just if somebody's going through the middle of it, they're experiencing shrinkage right now. Like,
right.
what do they?
It'll happen. It'll happen because you're going to hit those roadblocks, and sometimes you're going to get knocked back 2 or 3 steps, and you're just going to have to get back up, and keep going forward.
Yeah.
There's no way, or quit, or just quit.
Exactly.
And what are you going to do when you quit? Quit what? You have to find something else to do, but you can't just quit and sit home. Well, I say that.
You could, but
no money coming in, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And no character development.
No personal freedom either.
No, exactly. So.
Yeah. So when it comes down to people's ability to grind,
right.
I think that a lot of misconceptions occur because it's so popular, this whole work-life balance thing that exists. A lot of people are fed this entire, they're fed work-life balance from the time that they're a child until they grow up to be an adult, and then they go into the business world, whether they do like me, and I've never had a real job, I've
yes, true.
been an entrepreneur, or like you, where you had many jobs, and then you made this part-time dream a full-time, entrepreneurial journey for you. But they've been fed this work life, and I say fed it because I don't think you subscribe to work-life balance.
No, I don't. I think it's just a bunch of junk. The farmer doesn't have a work-life balance.
Yeah.
I mean, your granddad, he doesn't have a work-life balance. He never did. I mean, they're planting, hard work for a long period of time,
right.
And then they're taking care of the crops after they've been planted to make sure the deer don't get in there and eat them up, and make sure they have. That's not as hard a work, but they're still going. And yeah, they do have time in between there where they can take small breaks, and then it comes to the part where they got to gather all of the stuff up. When you have 600 or 700 acre farm like they did, it's a lot of hard work when you have 2 people doing all the job, 2 people doing all the work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but in general, it's just a fallacy that you have the work-life balance. In our situation, with the ebbs and flows of the seasons that we go through running a martial arts school, there are times when we know that we can have an opportunity to enroll more students than there are in other times because of the seasons. We're still in that right now. It's November, and October, November was huge for us, signing up a lot more students than we've ever signed up in October and November in years past. And I imagine that towards the end of this month and into December, with Thanksgiving and Christmas and the fact that we'll be closed certain days, things will slow down.
Right.
And that's going to be our time to relax a little bit. And what are we going to be doing when we relax? We're going to talk about business, because that's what we do, right? We have the time to sit around and go, you know what? I think about that system we got, and we got some, a little tweak. We need to tweak it a little bit. And then we'll go back and we get with our COO, and we'll work all the details out, and we'll tweak some things.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be the ebbs and flows of a business. It doesn't matter what the business is. It's retailers. Right now, retailers are just going crazy because they know Christmas season's coming up. Thanksgiving here, Christmas is here, Halloween was here. That's the big push. They're going to be selling stuff. Amazon's going to be having stuff. You can't even get stuff on an Amazon truck hardly right now because people are ordering stuff in the Black Friday sales and all this. There's no balance there.
Yeah. It's
just get it while you can, because it's not going to be there but for a period of time. And then it's going to slow back down. So the work-life balance is for people who seek after it, and they can find it in, I don't think they can find it in being an entrepreneur. I think that would be hard. And if they can find it being an entrepreneur, we hadn't got there yet.
Well, Dan Martell, author of Buy Back Your Time, love watching his stuff.
Yeah.
He has, and he talks about this a lot in his book, but he talks about having an integrated life as an entrepreneur.
Right.
And I totally agree with what you're saying. There's a shift from people that are just working in a 9 to 5. They don't own a business. there's a shift if you go from this, I was working a 9 to 5 to now I'm a business owner, where you kind of think about, okay, well, at my old job, when I was done, I was done. I went, and I did what I wanted to do. But when I'm an entrepreneur, you mean I gotta keep going? Like I don't get to rest. And
well, you can do that. You can go in and work from 9 to 5 or whatever hours. You can work 8 to 10 hours a day. But if you do that, you're not going to be an entrepreneur very long.
Right.
Because it takes more than that. It takes many, many more hours than that. It just does. It's too difficult not to have that edge. You have to be on that edge, and you have to be sharpening that axe all the time because you got to clear a path.
Yeah.
So
there's definitely an arc, I guess you could say, that's there, because in the beginning, what I see is that I see two groups of people. I see one group of people that we work with, or our clients, where they come in and they are seeking to just explode their school, so they're willing to put in hours and hours and grind and like do what it needs to be done, and then they do that. But then once they get to that level, the next mistake that they make is they take their foot off the gas pedal and they start trying to taste the privileges that they haven't earned yet.
yeah, we did that back in the day.
Yeah, but it will bite you.
Yeah, it'll bite you back because you're spending money, counting on everything continuing it as it is, and we just talked about it, the ebbs and flows, and you need to know that. And if you don't know that, that's the thing you have to learn. You have to learn that there are those ebbs and flows, and you don't take your foot off the gas pedal when everything is going full force. You ride that wave until there's nothing left.
Yeah.
Then when there's nothing left and you can't do anything else, you can breathe for a minute, and then you can get back into the chase, so to speak, and go to the next thing.
Yeah. And what I see is I see those people that they go and they hit that, they take those, I'm going to go on a 2-week vacation, or I'm going to, spend a lot of money because it's saved up in my account, and I'm going to go, do whatever it is I'm going to do. I'm going to invest into the business. I'm going to spend $30,000 renovating and just blowing through money, or I'm going to go on this vacation and spend all this money, or I'm going to hire people because we've got all this, but they haven't saved back money that they should have saved back. They haven't done the things that, to be honest, have earned them the right to be able to go, you know what, I'm not going to be at the business today because I'm going to go take, a half day and I'm going to go spend it with my family, right? And that's what Martell is talking about in the book, Buy Back Your Time, and then on his social media, is this integrated life. He doesn't proportion and just go, okay, the evening is the only time I'm going to spend with my kids, or something like that. I'm going to spend time with them earlier in the day, and then I'm going to go do this podcast, and then I'm going to go work with this collaboration. Like, his calendar is completely integrated from beginning of day to end of day with no white spaces. He's just living life between his family, his business, and his own personal pursuits all blended together. And I think that's true freedom as an entrepreneur, is being able to do that, not having a certain time where you're just like, you cut off your work, and now I'm just going to do nothing.
Yeah, I can't imagine not doing anything.
Yeah. Well, I think a big piece also that I've tried to evolve into, and that you're starting to do now as well, is doing a little bit more of what he's saying with having no white spaces on your calendar. Just going full steam ahead with having everything blocked out on the calendar, and having a personal assistant. And
that's a new game.
Yeah.
That's the thing, though. This is what we're talking about here. This is new to me, but I'm jumping all over it. Mm-hmm. I mean, you got somebody who we brought in on our team to help us to be able to be more productive with the time of the day, and not that when something's coming up, and her name is Dar, and when Dar has this thing laid out, it's not like, oh, we got to do this no matter what, because we got to do this, but if we can't get it done now, then we have to push it to a different hour, part of the day, or to a different day, because it's one of the important things we have to get done. And that's been a tremendous help for me, just being able to have and make time for the things that I need to make time for. And sometimes I crunch those things in at the last minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I think that stacking, well, I mean, for the last 4 weeks, I've had a personal assistant before this. Hadia got promoted, and then Dar came in, and now Dar's working a lot more on the calendar side than what Hadia was doing, because Hadia was taking a lot of the social media task and, working in that realm. But to actually have somebody just going in and coordinating a schedule and coordinating email, like that's something over the last 4 weeks that I've had. So what have you seen that's been different about what I've been able to do and all of that in these last 4 weeks?
well, I almost have to make an appointment to get to see you. And we live a football field away from each other.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think you've been more productive. You were always productive, but I think you're more focused right now because you know things. You know you're planning out, and you can plan out more things that you can let Dar be in charge of and make sure that you're reminded 2 days before you have to do this, and is this still going to be working? And she's going to ask you questions that you probably would ask yourself, and then you can always use Slack, which is what we use. You can always deliver a Slack message, hey, I got to move this, and she'll move it. You don't even have to move it yourself. So even you'll go, well, why don't I just move it myself? No. Why take the energy to move? All you got to do is, can you move this for me? And just forget about it, and it's done.
Yeah.
And people go, well, I'll just do it myself. When you're doing that, when you're doing something different than what you should be doing and not moving to the next thing, you're taking your focus off of what you should be doing. And you can't take your focus. You didn't take your focus off when you're fighting.
No.
It was very simple. You were out there, and you were in the cage or in the ring, and you were focused on what was going on out there, not what was happening in a peanut stand across the street or something.
Sure.
So yeah, I think she has been very, very good for both of us, and I can't wait till I have no white spots left on my calendar.
No white spaces at
No.
all. Yeah, it'll be filled up.
No.
So if, as somebody is sitting out there that, they have a 6-figure business, or maybe even they're hitting 7 figures, and they're thinking to themselves, gosh, I don't know that I can afford to have a personal assistant and start working on this, what would you say to that person?
You can afford it because it's going to save you time. And if the biggest thing with me before we ever got her working with us, is I'm thinking, how's she going to help me? I pretty much know what I want to do every day. But when I got somebody asking me what I'm going to do and looking at my emails and telling me that these things are coming up that I forgot about, where do I put these? What is this about? What about this trip that you have to take? What you have to go here for this person to do this? I'm going, oh yeah, I got to get my act together here. So it's been really beneficial having that person.
So basically they should do it.
They need to get them. They need to figure out. You go to
Morning
Starbucks
coffee.
once a day, or 2 times a day, or 5 times a week. You already got some money there, so invest it in a personal assistant. It's going to be worth it in the long run.
Yeah, for sure. Because it is helping you accomplish the things
Yes.
that you're trying to grind and do, and now
Yes.
you have a partner along the journey. And that is different than having an operator running your business.
Right, totally different.
Personal assistant running your day-to-day.
Yes, as a matter of fact, we need to get a personal assistant for our operator.
Yeah, for both of our operators.
Yes. And y'all may think this is crazy. No, it's not, because just the couple of weeks that Dar's been with me on a daily basis in the mornings, checking in, making sure things are going. We have like a 10-minute meeting. It probably will turn into like a 30-minute meeting over the next year or so. Mm-hmm. The benefits are amazing, because you're not being forced to do anything, but you need to be focused and you need to be in tune with what's going on so you can move forward to the next thing. And maybe the next thing is taking a 2-hour break and going on a run. You may never know until you plan it in. And then, even then, if things get wacky and you go, I just can't do it right now, then you can reassign it to a different part of the day or to the next day.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Levels to the game, levels to the grind.
there are definitely levels.
Yeah.
There are definitely levels.
Cool. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining us
Yeah.
for this podcast today. Listen, if you have not liked or subscribed, do that now. That helps us.
Down there, over
Yeah.
there, somewhere on here.
That helps us make sure we're spreading the word for 6 and 7 figure business owners, getting them more information about how to run their businesses profitably. Join us next time. We're going to be talking about sales
Sales
and
on the boat.
no,
I don't like boats
making
anyway.
money,
Making
making
money.
money.
All right.
So we'll be talking about that. See you guys later. Have a great one.
Bye, guys.